In 2023, Forbes estimated his net worth at $2.5 billion. He owns a music streaming platform, a sports management company, a champagne brand, a cognac label, a record label, a clothing line, stakes in technology companies most people have never heard of. He has won 24 Grammy Awards, he has sold over 100 million records worldwide, and he grew up in a housing project in Brooklyn, with no father, no safety net, and no plan B. This is not a story about rap. This is a story about the most sophisticated business mind of his generation. Empires and Ashes, Episode 2, The Blueprint of an Empire, the Jay-Z Story. Sean Corey Carter was born on December 4, 1969, in Brooklyn, New York. His father left when he was 11 years old. He would not see him again for many years. He grew up in the Marcy Houses, a public housing project in the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood of Brooklyn. Poverty was not a concept in Marcy. It was the air. At 12 years old, he accidentally shot his brother in the shoulder during an argument over jewelry. His brother survived. The guilt did not leave easily. He dropped out of high school. The streets offered what school could not: money, status, and a sense of control over a life that felt completely out of control. He started selling drugs, but even then, even in the most dangerous years, there was something else happening. Something nobody around him fully understood yet. He was writing. He memorized his lyrics rather than writing them down. He trained his mind like a muscle, storing verses, refining them, building them in real time. The streets taught him strategy. The music gave him a way out. He just needed someone to believe the way out was real. In the early 1990s, Jay-Z began approaching record labels. He had the talent, he had the material, he had the hunger. Every label said no, so he did something that would define the rest of his life. He stopped asking for permission. In 1995, alongside his childhood friends Damon Dash and Kareem Biggs, Jay-Z founded Rockefeller Records, not signed to a label, not waiting for a deal. He built his own. He pressed copies of his debut album, Reasonable Doubt, out of the trunk of a car. He sold them at concerts in record shops on the streets of New York. The album was released in 1996. It did not immediately set the charts on fire, but it was heard by the right people, and it established something that money cannot buy: credibility. What followed was one of the most prolific runs in music history. Between 1996 and 2003, Jay-Z released 7 studio albums, each one more successful than the last, each one building the mythology of a man who had come from nothing and refused to go back. But here is the part that most people miss. While the world was watching the music, Jay-Z was building the infrastructure. He co-founded Rocawear, a clothing line that would eventually be sold for $204 million. He co-founded 4040 Club, a luxury sports bar concept that expanded into multiple cities. He acquired stakes in companies, he signed artists and collected their royalties. He built a management empire. The music was the stage. The business was the empire. And he had only just started. In 2004, Jay-Z announced his retirement from music. He was 34 years old. He had released the Black Album, widely considered one of the greatest rap albums ever made, and declared it his final project. The music world mourned. Fans were devastated. Critics wrote eulogies. But Jay-Z had not retired from ambition. He had simply changed the arena. He became the president and CEO of Def Jam Recordings, one of the most powerful positions in the music industry. He was no longer just an artist. He was now the person who decided which artists got heard. He signed Rihanna. He developed Young Jeezy. He reshaped the label's creative direction. Then in 2008, he came back. The retirement had been a strategy, a reset, a moment to step back, accumulate power in a different form, and return with more leverage than he had ever had as just a rapper. He launched through Roc Nation, not just a record label, but a full-service entertainment company covering music, sports management, touring, film, television. and philanthropy. He had gone from artist to mogul, from performer to owner. The blueprint had always been about ownership. It just took the world a while to see it. So what does the Jay-Z story teach us about building wealth? 3 principles, each one hiding in plain sight inside his story. First, when the door is closed, build your own door. Every record label said no. He didn't lower his standards or beg harder. He created his own label, his own distribution, his own path. Every time an industry tells you there is no room for you, that is your signal to build a room of your own. Second, your public output should fund your private assets. The music was always a vehicle. Every concert, every album, every headline fed the brand, and the brand funded the equity stakes, the ownership deals, the companies that generated wealth silently and permanently. Build in public, own in private. Third, retirement is a strategy, not a surrender. When Jay-Z stepped away from music in 2004, the world thought he had quit. He had actually elevated. Sometimes the most powerful move is to stop doing what made you famous and start building what will make you wealthy. Know when to change the arena. From Marcy houses to a $2.5 billion empire. Not luck, not talent alone. A blueprint, executed over decades, one ownership decision at a time. Jay-Z built his empire by refusing to wait for permission and by turning every public success into a private asset. But next week, we tell a different kind of story. A woman with no fashion experience, no industry contacts, and no funding, armed with one idea and $200. She was rejected by every manufacturer she approached, every single one, until one said yes, and everything changed. Next week, Sara Blakely. She was told no. She built a billion-dollar empire. Anyway, subscribe and turn on notifications. The next story drops in 7 days.